Tennessee addresses one critical need in the transfer portal. How big of a role will Colton Hood play for the Volunteers this football season? That and so much more. It's your Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. Your Monday morning Locked On Vols, presented in part by our friends over at Monarch Money, where you can take control of your finances by using Monarch Money. You put in the promo code Locked On College at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, big shout out to our friends over at Monarch Money. Big show coming up here today. Don't forget to get in your questions for tomorrow's show, however. The mailbag edition of the show, the Talk to Me Tuesday, as one poster pointed out. Any questions, comments, concerns at _Caner at Locked On Vols. And of course, you can comment on the YouTube channel. Voice, little gross sounding, so I do apologize for that. Feel great, but of course, we're on the back half of this allergy season, trying to get over that, so I apologize for the voice. I know it's a little off-putting. But nonetheless, we roll on. Today's show, a big one. Colton Hood commits to Tennessee. What are the Volunteers looking to get out of Colton Hood in the short term this fall? And what could he be for Tennessee down the line? That's coming up here in segment number one. Speaking of cornerbacks, Jermod McCoy, he's a pretty good one, right? Tennessee's starting cornerback, of course, coming off offseason surgery, and a big reason why they went out and got Colton Hood as an insurance policy, essentially. Jermod McCoy, he has been mocked all over the first round in these way too early looks at the 2026 NFL Draft. What are they saying about Jermod McCoy? That's coming up in segment number two. And then Rod Clark left for Indiana. Tennessee has gone out and hired a new assistant coach to replace Clark. Amarrow Morgan is going to be the newest assistant coach. Who is Morgan and what will he bring to the table? And he's joining a very successful line of assistant coaches for Tennessee. We'll tell you about that here in a moment. That's in segment number three. But right now, let's talk about Colton Hood. So Tennessee gets the commit of Colton Hood. He was on campus, I want to say, a little bit earlier last week. It was a short trip, mostly all these transfer portal guys, whenever they take visits, it's very, very short. But Colton Hood comes over to Tennessee, and he leaves campus, and he commits to Tennessee late last week. It was Friday afternoon, we'll call it. 5'11", 190 pounds, coming from Colorado, where he played a pretty significant piece this past year for Deion Sanders and Colorado. Wasn't a starter, but played a ton, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. 5'11", 190 pounds is Colton Hood. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining. So because Jermod McCoy is, out for the foreseeable future, out indefinitely, is he working back from a torn ACL that he suffered while training in the month of December after the college football playoff game while home in Texas. Again, he's going to play a whole lot of football this year, but like we talked about on yesterday's show, or on last week's show, is he going to be ready to go snap game one? And if so, how effective is he going to be? So Tennessee needed some depth at the cornerback position. That was a new need in the spring portal. They had a couple quarterbacks transfer out in December window, and that's okay because the guys that transferred out in the December window weren't necessarily in the plans. But when you do lose a guy to an ACL injury and you don't know his status for the beginning of the season, it kind of creates a little bit of a need. And so Tennessee was out there looking for, along with a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, and of course a quarterback. As that kind of took center stage here in the month of April, Tennessee was looking for a cornerback, and they found one in Colton Hood. So 3 years of eligibility remaining. Coming in, he's going to be a guy that can compete right away, to play right away. It's even if Jermod McCoy is there and ready to roll, he's going to be competing for snaps and going to be competing to give those guys a break. Him and Ricky Gibson. What did he do last year? Well, in 13 games with Colorado, he had one start, but he tallied 332 total snaps. So it's not like he barely played. He played a significant amount of games, even though he did start. He played 20 snaps against Nebraska, 32 snaps against Colorado State, 35 snaps against Kansas State, 59 snaps against Arizona, 41 snaps against BYU, and a lot of snaps in between. Those are just some of the high water marks. But a guy that finished with 24 tackles, 2 interceptions. He had 8 third down stops, which I thought was pretty noteworthy. He had 6 pass breakups, 1 fourth down stop, 1 tackle for loss. And again, this was as a redshirt freshman this past year. So 24 tackles, 2 INTs, 8 third down stops. I think those third down stops are one of the most underrated stats in all college football. 8 third down stops, 6 PBUs, 1 fourth down stop, and 1 tackle for loss as a redshirt freshman. And of course, when he was on the field, he was playing opposite of Travis Hunter a lot of the times, right? And sure, he spelled Hunter a little bit because Hunter was playing both ways. But when he was on the field, a lot of times he was playing opposite of Travis Hunter. And remember, Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy. Travis Hunter, sure, good wide receiver, but Travis Hunter is a fantastic cornerback. And so teams were trying to stay away, obviously, from Travis Hunter. So they were targeting the other cornerback in the game, and a lot of times that was Colton Hood. And so he's kind of been through the ringer a little bit. And I think that's really, really good exposure, really, really good experience for him. And I think the stats kind of back that up. 13 games, 1 start, 332 total snaps. He began his collegiate career at Auburn in 2023, where it was a redshirt year for him. He played in 4 games. They tagged that redshirt tag on him. Played a whole lot in the Music City Bowl against Maryland, where he totaled 44 snaps at the tail end of the 2023 season. And then he transferred out and went to Colorado. In high school, he was, just like the majority of all these highly touted SEC players are. He played cornerback, played wide receiver, played quarterback, played running back for Eagles Landing Christian. He's a Georgia native, so this move allows him to come back closer to home. He was named the 2022 Region 5 2A Athlete of the Year as a high school player. Also away from the football field, he was a 3-time All-Region baseball player, a 2-time All-State center fielder, part of the All-State 4x100 relay in track and field, and was also a basketball letterman. So a very decorated student athlete, a very decorated athlete in his own right. His uncle, Roderick Hood, played 8 seasons in the NFL. He went to Auburn, played 47 games as a defensive back for the Tigers, played 8 seasons in the NFL. He had a pro career that spanned 254 tackles and 15 interceptions in the National Football League. So, Colton Hood, he's got genes in terms of being in the sport of football, playing at the highest level. SEC, started in the SEC, recruited as an SEC cornerback, left, went to the Big 12 of Colorado, now back in the SEC with Tennessee. And, the time of his commitment, he talked with VolQuest.com's Austin Price, said, quote, just the culture and the history about it. I mean, they got a lot of great players that come through here, and just the culture. I also like the geniusness of the coaches, Coach Heupel, Coach E.T., Coach Banks, Coach Martinez, all those guys. They're just all really genuine. The genuineness, sorry, I said genius. The genuineness, that makes a whole lot more sense. I just really like what they had to say about the university. He goes on to say, quote, they said that I'm very versatile. I mean, I'm also very athletic. I really think I'm athletic. I agree. I think I'm probably one of the most athletic guys in the portal and in the college game right now. I also think that, talking with their coach, I could be one of the best in the country. So it doesn't lack for confidence, and typically that's a trait that you want in a cornerback, right? Confident, go out there, back up your game, play your game, and go out there and produce. He went on to say, quote, they basically said I can come in and play and be a big factor of what they have going on immediately. So I think that was big too. And again, he's going to come in here and from day one compete for snaps because we don't know the status of Jermod McCoy right off the bat. You got Ricky Gibson on one side. Feel good about him. You've got Jalen McMurray on the other side, who's kind of played that number 3 cornerback role and kind of backed up both Gibson and McCoy and played it really, really well a season ago. So those are your 2 guys kind of right now. And then without Jamal McCoy in the picture, you got some freshmen. And yeah, you like those freshmen, some of those Trey Petites, Ty Redmond, and so on and so forth, but they're still young, and you still don't necessarily know what you have in those true freshmen. So going and getting a guy like Colton Hood, this is monumental. This is big, in my opinion. It's going to help Tennessee a lot in the short term, but also even when McCoy gets back and McCoy goes on to the NFL draft, which we'll talk about here in segment number 2, Hood can step in and continue to be a starter at the cornerback position for Tennessee for the next couple of years if he so chooses. So this is a good get for Tennessee. They needed a corner. There was a need. They moved Caleb Beasley away from corner in the spring, which I didn't really understand that, but it sounds like Caleb Beasley's really found a home at safety and is doing really, really well. And of course now Jacoby Thomas transfers out, John Slaughter transfers out, Christian Charles transfers out. Caleb Beasley's absolutely going to play. He was going to play anyway. I think that's the reason why some of those guys transferred out. But Caleb Beasley's home is now at safety. So Tennessee absolutely needed a corner, and Tennessee got a corner, and he got a guy by the name of Colton Hood. Real quick, on the way out for this segment, looking at his Pro Football Focus page, he gave up a total of 21 receptions this past season on 37 targets, 285 yards. Okay. Oh, this isn't his career. Excuse me. This is his career. I'll go last year. 17 receptions given up on 32 targets, 241 yards. Okay. Gave up no touchdowns, had 2 interceptions, and of course had 5 PBUs. This being Colton Hood, and Pro Football Focus really liked the move as well. And they were lauding this on Friday. Tennessee's new cornerback, I'm just looking at a tweet here from Pro Football Focus College, 215 coverage snaps, 0 touchdowns allowed, a 51.7 passer rating allowed, as Colton Hood was the primary defender for said wide receivers when they were throwing his way. So good stuff. Really good stuff. I like this pickup. I think it's important for Tennessee, but not just in the short term. I think in the long term, this can be a really nice beneficial pickup for the Volunteers for sure. Now, who is the all-star cornerback for Tennessee right now? Well, we know that to be the case, and that is Jermod McCoy. What is the latest on Jermod McCoy and his injury, but more so, what could be coming of his pro career in the NFL? A lot of mock drafts, really high on Jermod McCoy. We'll talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources, and their latest product info can help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an online order? Supply House offers expert support and an industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for the extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your order. That is promo code SH5 for 5% off your order. That is your first order. That's at supplyhouse.com. All that and more is at supplyhouse.com. So we talked about Colton Hood in segment number 1 and how, what his role could look like early on and, of course, in the future for Tennessee. But we know we already have an established guy in terms of Jermod McCoy. Granted, he's out right now, torn ACL, messed up his knee while training after the college football playoff loss late December while home in Texas. He's going to play a lot of football for Tennessee this year, targeting the start of the season for his return, but we know how that goes, so we'll have to see. Tennessee needed an insurance policy in the biggest way, and they got one in Colton Hood. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Jermod McCoy is a dude. Jermod McCoy, an all-SEC player, an All-American this past year, fantastic player. And now with the 2025 NFL Draft coming and going, we start seeing these way too early NFL mock drafts for the 2026 season. And lo and behold, Jermod McCoy getting a whole lot of first-round love. And that's not shocking whatsoever. He comes in from Oregon State, tied for the SEC lead with 4 interceptions. Pro Football Focus absolutely adores Jermod McCoy. And it feels like the teams that Tennessee played this past year really kind of had a game plan around him a little bit. And that's why Ricky Gibson was targeted an awful lot in that regard, because they wanted, just like Travis Hunter and talking about Colton Hood, they wanted to stay away from Jermod McCoy. But sometimes they didn't have the luxury of doing so. But nonetheless, Jermod McCoy, really good player. CBS Sports, one of the latest ones to have him mocked in the first round. Josh Edwards has him going 20th overall to the LA Chargers. And I always love when they put a team there as well. I mean, it's just for fun, right? We're sitting here on the time of this recording, May the 4th be with you, May the 4th, right? It's a long way away. The season, the NFL season for 2025 hasn't even started yet. We're months away from that, so we don't know what the draft order is going to be. But I always think it's hilarious when they tag a team with these way too early picks because they're just kind of projecting what the season is going to look like for said team. But nonetheless, you got to do that because you got to know the needs of said team. And, the Chargers being one of the teams that are in the hunt for a cornerback. And so CBS Sports says Josh Edwards has Jermod McCoy going 20th overall to the LA Chargers. He had this to say about McCoy, quote, McCoy had 4 interceptions last year after transferring in from Oregon State. He has good size, good ball production to match. Jim Harbaugh nabs a ball hawk in the secondary in the first round. If that were to be the case, I'm going to go over a bunch of other mock drafts that have Jermod McCoy in the first round. But if that is to go on to be to fruition, it would be the first defensive back drafted from Tennessee in the first round since 2010's Eric Berry. It's been quite some time since Tennessee's put a first round defensive back in the NFL draft. So I think Tennessee's got a really good opportunity to kind of reset that mark next year with Jermod McCoy. Pro Football Focus has Jermod McCoy at number 15 overall to the Miami Dolphins. So number 20 overall, CBS Sports. Pro Football Focus has him at number 15 overall to the Miami Dolphins. ESPN's Jordan Reed also has him going to the Miami Dolphins, but one pick sooner at number 14. According to the ESPN mock draft, Jermod McCoy would be the second defensive back and the first corner off the board. First corner, of course, but the second defensive back to Caleb Downs of Ohio State, who went pick number 5 in this exercise to the Cleveland Browns. Behind McCoy in this ESPN mock draft, the corners that went after him, a lot of corners there in the first round. A.J. Harris of Penn State went number 16. DJ McKinney of Colorado went number 24. Avion Terrell of Clemson, 27. Malik Muhammad out of Texas went number 30 overall. So a corner-heavy draft coming up in 2026, but it looks like Jermod McCoy is going to kind of lead the pack a little bit. That's awesome. That's good to hear. So I'll mention that if he's selected in the first round next draft, it would be the first defensive back for Tennessee drafted in the first round since Eric Berry in 2010. If McCoy goes at 14, now if McCoy goes at 14, it would be the sixth highest mark, it would be the highest selection of any Tennessee player in the NFL draft since Darnell Wright went 10th overall in 2023 to the Bears. It would also make Tennessee having consecutive first-round draft picks on the defensive side of the football, because remember, James Pierce just went 26 overall to the Atlanta Falcons. So for all the Tim Banks haters out there, for all the Tennessee defense haters out there, well, James Pierce, the first rounder this year, Jermod McCoy, well on his way to potentially being a first rounder next year. This is what Jordan Reed had to say about his mock draft of having Jermod McCoy in the first round, number 14 overall to the Miami Dolphins. Quote, with Jalen Reed on the trade block, the Dolphins need young defensive backs. McCoy makes plenty of sense here as an active physical corner. He exhibits great awareness, has quick read on routes run in his coverage. He had 4 interceptions, 8 PBUs last season, so the ball skills are there too. McCoy could be a cornerback 1 next year if his game continues to ascend. Think about that. After his rookie season, Jordan Reed, one of the best to cover the NFL draft, thinks Jermod McCoy could be a CB1, a cornerback 1 the following year if his game continues to develop. I mean, that's massive. I mean, that is some high praise right there for Jermod McCoy. Of course, if you live under a rock, you know that Jermod McCoy, I guess you don't know, but now you're going to know. Jermod McCoy was an all-SEC player, both from the coaches and from the Associated Press. All-American by the AP this past year. He began his career at Oregon State. I think he was a 3-star. Recruited out of the state of Texas. Track and field, was a wide receiver as well. Actually went to Oregon State as a wide receiver, and then they moved into cornerback. Really, really good move there. And he played as a true freshman in a couple of games. Played in 12 games actually. Started 5. He led the team with 9 passes defended. Had 7 PBUs, had 2 interceptions, and 31 tackles. So very productive as a true freshman at Oregon State in 2023. Then comes over to Tennessee, started all 13 games, 13 passes defended, 9 PBUs, 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions tied for the SEC lead. And, of course, Will Brooks also had 4 interceptions. Shout out Will Brooks going to Kansas City as well. That is phenomenal. Just awesome. And those two guys, they tied Nigel Warrior for the most picks for Tennessee, for a Tennessee defensive back since the 2019 season when Nigel Warrior had 4 interceptions. Couple of the interceptions that come to mind, he had the one-handed in the end zone guarding Ryan Williams there on the goal line from Jalen Milroe. What a massive point in that football game. Also had the interception on his back, in the end zone at Vanderbilt whenever the Commodores went up 14-0 right off the shoot there. Those were 2 momentum-changing plays for Tennessee in those games, kind of stop the bleeding a little bit as well. So Jamal McCoy, fantastic player. Obviously one of the best defensive backs in the SEC, one of the best defensive backs for Tennessee, and he is being mocked, and it's looking like he could be a first-round draft pick this time next year. Again, CBS Sports has him at number 20 overall in the first round. Pro Football Focus has him at number 15 overall in the first round. ESPN Jordan Reed, who I give the most credit to in terms of this conversation, has him at number 14, the highest ranked, number 14 overall in the way too early mock drafts for the 2026 NFL draft. Really, really cool conversation. Started off by talking about a new cornerback addition that's going to play a role in helping Jamal McCoy this year, especially early on. And now we talk about Jamal McCoy, of course, potentially being a first-round draft pick. All right, we continue on here on this Monday show. Again, my voice sucks. I'm so sorry. I know it's awful, but we're just kind of working our way through it. I feel fine. I feel great. I just sound gross. But nonetheless, Tennessee basketball makes a hire, replacing Rod Clark and forming a new assistant coaching tree. Who is Tennessee's new assistant coach? What is he going to bring to the table? All that and more is coming up next as we continue on here with your Monday Locked On Vols. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can view multiple accounts, investments, spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money. You start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food deliveries, online shopping, all that stuff. Now I can budget smarter and I can save money while doing it. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with my wife now, it's easier than ever. I can track our shared accounts, personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without any stress. Take the control of your finances away with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Again, start building wealth. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth with Monarch Money. We got one final segment left here on this Monday morning Locked On Vols. Again, I encourage you to send in your questions, your comments, your concerns. _Caner at Locked On Vols for a little Talk to Me Tuesday. That's coming up tomorrow. Your mailbag edition of the show. We'll answer those questions tomorrow. You had Rod Clark that left Tennessee to go and be an assistant coach at Indiana. We had Grant Ramey on, a colleague over at VolQuest.com, and I pretty much just asked him, why would you want to leave the University of Tennessee to do a lateral move from what it looks like to be an assistant coach somewhere else? And I mean, Indiana's a rich basketball proud tradition, program. I mean, obviously everybody gets that. I don't know, maybe he got a raise. Maybe instead of being the third assistant, you were the second assistant. There are many factors involved to why, a guy like Rod Clark might want to make this move and trying to, further his career and all that, move up the ladder. So I'm not gonna hate on him for leaving. Everybody's got to do what's best for everybody and their families. So that makes a whole lot of sense. But kind of a strange move. In fact, it is. He is only the second assistant coach ever to leave Rick Barnes' staff while at Tennessee to not go on and be a head coach. Chris Ogden was the only other one. This was back in, I believe, 2017, 2018. It was a while ago. He is the only other coach who left Rick Barnes' staff not to go and be a head coach. Think about it. Kim English left to go be the head coach at George Mason. Now he's at Providence. Desmond Oliver left Tennessee staff to go to be the head coach at ETSU. Now he's an assistant at UCF or USF. Rob Lanier left. Rob Lanier was his right-hand man for years. He left Rick Barnes, went to be the head coach at Georgia State. Now he's the head coach at Rice. Typically, you leave this staff and you go and you get a head coaching opportunity. You don't necessarily go for a lateral move. But again, everybody's got to do what they've got to do, and that's what Rod Clark did. Speaking of Rod Clark, he says he went on social media and thanked Tennessee fans. He said, quote, "My family and I are overwhelmed with the gratitude stemming from our time here at the University of Tennessee. It means so much to me that my two little girls were born here, as my wife and I always felt an overwhelming amount of love and support from this community. As we say our goodbyes, I'd like to thank Coach Barnes, our staff, our administration, the fans, and every player we are blessed to go out there and compete with. Thank you, Vol Nation, for 4 of the best years of my life. Rocky Top is a special place, and we will miss Knoxville dearly. GBO." Again, hat tip to you, Rod Clark. Good work here at the University of Tennessee. But now you make room for a new assistant coach, and his name is Amarrow Morgan, replacing Rod Clark, who's leaving for Indiana. Morgan spent the last 2 years at Cal. Excuse me, my voice is going out. He spent the last 2 years at Cal and was recently, as recent as April the 6th, hired as an assistant at Florida State. He also coached at Loyola Chicago from 2021 to 2023, as well as South Alabama, Nicholls State, Henderson State, University of Illinois Springfield, and Our Lady of Lake University. At Cal, being described in his bio as a relentless recruiter, he was responsible for bringing in Jeremiah Wilkinson. We know about that. ACC's 6th man of the year, all-rookie team pick after averaging 15 points a game as a freshman this past year. So responsible for bringing in a really, really good player. So recruiting, Rod Clark was a very, very good recruiter. I think he's going to fit in well here for Rick Barnes on this staff. While he was at Loyola Chicago, Amarrow Morgan helped Loyola Chicago win 35 games in 2 seasons, including a Missouri Valley Conference championship and an NCAA tournament appearance back in 2022. He was South Alabama's associate head coach for the final 2 years of his 3 seasons with the Jags. You go back to his playing days at Idaho State, graduated there in 2012. He was a 2-time Big Sky guard, all Big Sky guard, a 3-time team captain. He played professionally for 3 seasons in Europe and earned his master's degree at Illinois Springfield. So, the resume goes back about 10 years in terms of coaching, made a couple of different stops, has a couple of recruiting wins along the way, has been a part of some NCAA tournament teams, was a player himself, recruiting, got a couple big-time recruiting wins. So I really like this move. And Rick Barnes said on the Big Orange Caravan, I think it was Wednesday night when they were in Nashville, and he had some media people asking about Rod Clark leaving and all that. And he basically said, hey, Rob was great. We were fortunate to have him, but he essentially said, we know exactly who we're going to get. We know we're going to be okay. And so Rick Barnes, I think I've got the quote right here, said, here we go, said Barnes on Amarrow Morgan, I'm thrilled to welcome Amarrow to Rocky Top. As soon as we knew we had a decision to make, it was immediately clear that Amarrow would be our first choice. He is young, energetic coach with a sharp basketball mind who will make an impact with our program from day one. I know he will do all he can to help our players excel, and he will mesh with the strong culture that we have in place here. End quote from Rick Barnes. His number one choice. They always say it's your number one choice. Danny White said that Josh Heupel was his number one choice, the only call he made. Maybe that was the only offer that he officially extended, but we know all this stuff works. But it really does feel like, once Rod Clark alerted, Rick Barnes that he was going to leave, Rick Barnes said, all right, I want Morgan. Let's go get it done. And he got it done, which is really, really cool to see. So again, Amarrow Morgan joining a coaching tree, essentially, that is really, really strong from Rick Barnes while here at Tennessee. Kim English, again, went on to be a head coach. Desmond Oliver went on to be a head coach. Rob Lanier has gone on to be a head coach. Justin Gainey that's been here since 2021. This is the first assistant coaching change for Rick Barnes since 2021, when I believe it was Oliver and English that moved on at the same time, and they went out and got Gainey and Clark to come in and replace them. So good stuff there for Tennessee basketball. Tennessee basketball continues to build its roster. We talked about player additions last week. Now here today, we're talking about an assistant coaching addition for Rick Barnes for the 2025-2026 Tennessee basketball team. All right, that is going to do it here for this Monday morning Locked On Vols. Hopefully my voice is stronger tomorrow. If you listen to this whole thing, God bless you. Again, I feel great. It's just allergies. My voice stinks, and when you talk for a living, it's really, really hard to get it back where you need to be in a quick turnaround. So I apologize for that, but thank you so much for being here. Thanks for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We'll answer your questions tomorrow, so get those in at _Caner at Locked On Vols. We'll talk with Josh Ward on Wednesday. Big shows coming up this week right here on Locked On Vols.